Welcome to the Wild and Fierce podcast. We are your hosts, Amber
and Johanna. We're here to explore womanhood through real, raw, and unfiltered conversations.
Please remember this podcast is for education only and not a substitute for medical advice. Always consult your own healthcare professional.
Let's dive in.
All right, everybody. We are officially in season 2, episode 1 of season 2, which is wild. We were talking off camera how crazy it is to think we're in season 2. So thank you for being along on this journey with us so far and excited for what we have in store for season 2. Exciting things coming. So for today, we're going to be talking about blood sugar regulation and why it's not just about diabetes. It's not just a diabetes thing. We're going to be talking energy, mood, hormones, cravings, and even fertility. We're going to be mainly talking specifically about women, but a lot of this can be applicable to men and even children as well. So I'm going to kick it off to Johanna. We're going to go through her first section here and then we'll keep going.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited. Yeah, everything that we're going to be talking today can be applied to the whole family, male, female, children, elderlies, every human needs to keep their blood sugar balance, and that'll make a lot more sense as we get into this. When we're talking about like specific hormone levels, that'll be much more for women, but like in general, you can take a lot of these same principles and apply it to the whole family. And honestly, Amber and I talk about this all the time, but I really think a lot of kiddos, I don't know if I want to say issues, but quote unquote issues, I think really is dysregulated blood sugar because frankly, when I'm hangry, I want to throw a tantrum, right? Like I don't think clearly, I'm way more distracted, I'm way more irritable, I want to throw a tantrum, and I am an adult.
Totally.
And a kiddo that's overstimulated in a grocery store or just sat through school for 7 hours, and the schools don't necessarily balance blood sugar while they're school meals. Kind of makes sense that kiddos have some dysregulation going on. So I think that this, yes, apply it to yourself, but if you have kiddos, I think it could be really life-changing to actually apply a lot of this to kiddos. I wish I would have known all of this information when I was, middle school, high school, stuff like that. I think it really would have played a big role. And I know your daughter, and I don't know if son too, but I know they've experienced dysregulated blood sugar. I definitely did as a child. My whole family, like, diabetes runs in the family on my dad's side. And so it's kind of interesting. But anyways, a little bit of a long-winded spiel, but it's very important. So blood sugar regulation, I think when I was in school and for nutritional therapy and they released our curriculum for the year, I remember thinking like, oh, I don't want to learn about blood sugar. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's good. We're gonna like learn about diabetes and diabetics because like that's what they did in when I went to university, and I remember just thinking like I was not excited for that blood sugar lesson at all. And then I finished it. It was a 2-week long chapter and it was absolutely life-changing. It made so much sense for my own health issues at the time. And it's still my favorite thing that I learned. I think it's the biggest life-changing thing that I've ever learned. I think that we need to teach this in kindergarten. I think mamas that know this, or even dads, like if you know this and you can teach your baby when they're like 2 years old and like learn how to like pair proteins, fats, and carbs, that's probably like the nerd side of me with nutrition. But like if you can teach them that, like man, like they're just gonna be so much more stable for the rest of their lives. So blood sugar regulation, what it means on like a scientific level is we have glucose in our blood. Glucose comes from carbs, and this is something that I can't like stress enough. There's like no such thing as like a good, okay, how do I want to say this? There's no such thing as like a good carb, bad carb in terms of glucose, if that makes sense. All carbs break down into glucose. So like when people say like, oh, I don't want to drink orange juice, it's pure sugar. That's like, well, so is rice. It's not pure sugar, but like the carbs are pure sugar because a carb is sugar. Like,
Yeah, like a molecular level. They're all
yeah,
sugar.
it's like scientifically,
Yeah.
when you consume those things that have carbohydrates, that turns into glucose in your body, which is sugar, right? So like carbs equals sugar. So to say like, oh, I don't want cane sugar because that's too much sugar, but I'm going to have potatoes, you could eat the same amount of grams of carbohydrates and it's still going to break down into sugar in your body. So it's like sugar is sugar is sugar, water is water is water, right? And so I think that's why I chuckle a lot when I'm on social media and like people are demonizing like good sugars, bad sugars. I'm like, it's just sugar, right? It's always going to break down into sugar. That's like saying good water, bad water. And it's like on like a scientific molecular level, water is water, H2O is H2O. So blood sugar regulation is just regulating your glucose levels in your body. Glucose is the number one preferred energy source for energy in your body. So that's also where it doesn't make sense to me to like cut out sugar or cut out carbs because you're literally cutting out the easiest, best, most preferred source of fuel and energy for your body. So all of these ladies that are struggling with low energy, but then they have their providers or the wellness industry or magazines saying go keto, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So we can turn fat and protein. Our body has mechanisms to turn fat and protein into sugar. It's because we need sugar, right?
Mhm.
So you could do that as a survival mechanism. That's going to put your body through a lot more stress, but you could do that. But the goal is to still get sugar. So you could actually just circumvent it and just give your body sugar. It takes a lot of less stress off your body, and you're ultimately getting sugar regardless. So
And you're gonna feel better.
and you're gonna feel better because your body, like our body only turns fat and protein into sugar under survival instincts. Like think about it when we were like back like cavemen
Yeah.
and they didn't have berries around or whatever fruit around or potatoes. And so they were just eating animal meat. So they were on like a ketosis diet. So their body would switch into ketosis for energy, which then makes glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis, and it's making new glucose from a different product in the body. So we can do that. We can, but it's really stressful, especially for women. So we have to have glucose. It's how our cells get energy. It is foundational to our overall wellness. And I think where people really miss the mark is we're not taught what glucose is or what blood sugar really is. We're just taught, oh, if I eat like a cupcake, it's gonna spike my blood sugar or a blood sugar crash. Like I feel like we know that kind of like on a general term, but we don't necessarily know the ins and outs of blood sugar. Um, ooh, I'm losing my train of thought.
It's pregnancy brain. Just take a minute.
It's
I'll come back
pregnancy
to you.
brain.
And I'll come back to you.
Okay, so to explain blood sugar, when blood sugar is super, super high and you get a spike and then it crashes, that is what we kind of call a blood sugar roller coaster. And when that happens, that's like a life-threatening response to the body. When there's a life-threatening response to the body, if you think about your physiology, so the inside of your body, if there's a life-threatening response, your body doesn't necessarily know whether that was because a bear was chasing you or you're getting mugged or it's because your blood sugar is crashing. And when your body has like a life-threatening thing happen to it, it kicks into survival mode. It does not care about the necessities, right? So this is where we start to see blood sugar chaos causing symptoms in the body. Our body is not going to prioritize making sex hormones because it doesn't care about getting pregnant. Our body's not going to care about digesting breakfast because that's not going to save your life in that moment. It's also not going to care about sleeping because why would you sleep if your life was threatened, right? And so this is where a lot of people have hormone dysfunction, gut dysfunction, and live in a very like fight or flight state. And it's because they're basically communicating to your body constantly, you're not safe, fight or flight, run away, there's danger. When we constantly live in that, that causes chaos. So blood sugar chaos equals period menstrual cycle hormone chaos for women. Once again, when your blood sugar crashes, your body will now release cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and that's to raise your blood glucose levels again because it's a crash and your body wants to keep them nice and balanced and stable. High cortisol then triggers to your body like, hey, we're fight or flight, there's things going on. Your body's also not going to make progesterone in that situation. This is kind of where it's led us into a chronic low progesterone epidemic, especially for women, which then leads to fertility challenges, painful periods, PMS, irregular cycles, anxiety, mood swings. I like to explain anxiety, not that all anxiety is triggered by blood sugar dysregulation, but think about it this way. If you're constantly communicating to your body, hey, fight or flight, we're getting attacked, it's stress because you crash your blood sugar. Of course, you're going to have anxiety, right? So I had a big anxiety issue before learning this. I started balancing my blood sugar and my anxiety went away. My co-practitioner Katrina had the same thing. We deal with this with clients all the time. I'm not by any means saying that all anxiety is caused by this, but might as well try balancing your blood sugar to see if it helps. It's certainly not going to hurt.
I think another way to explain it and like what I experience for myself, if I can tell my blood sugar is low, is I'll just start to feel like really overwhelmed.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
even know if I would explain it for me specifically as like I feel anxious. I just feel like something feels out of control in my
Yeah.
body. I notice it most like either early in the morning if I haven't ate soon
Hmm.
enough, or like late in the day if I'm like pushing dinner too long or something like that. I'll just start to feel really overwhelmed, specifically if like after I pick my kiddos up, for example, I'm like cooking dinner and they're like screaming and yelling and I'm trying to get food and I'm hungry, my blood sugar's low, I'll feel really overwhelmed.
100%. Easily overstimulated.
Very easily
Yeah.
overstimulated. And
Yeah.
I notice it in my kids too.
Yeah.
Like if Bo wakes up and he wants to go play or go do something and we don't get food in him pretty early, he'll
Yeah.
very quickly go to like tantrum and overstimulated mode.
For sure. For sure.
Very quickly.
I know for me, and I can't remember if this is the case for your daughter, but for me, when I was a kiddo, if my parents didn't have me eat within an hour of waking, and it was more even like 20 minutes of waking, like because it was so dysregulated when I was little, I would start puking.
Yeah, I mean, he gets really
Uh,
nervous.
yeah, yeah.
He
So
gets
I'd
super
get
nervous.
car sick, nauseous. So my
And I
parents
was like that
always,
too.
yeah,
And I still am.
yeah,
Like I get hypoglycemic very easily.
yes,
And so
yeah.
does Emmy. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that is like huge. So that's basically a crash. And when that crash is happening, your body releases cortisol. And I think this is where like there's like this like trend right now of like talking about like cortisol face and like reduce your cortisol, reduce your cortisol. It's not necessarily that we want to reduce the cortisol. We want to get ahead of it so your body doesn't have to keep producing it.
Yes.
Right? Your cortisol is actually saving your life. Like it's literally raising your blood sugar. We want that to happen. And cortisol is also anti-inflammatory. So it's like we want the body to be able to produce cortisol. We don't want to hyper focus on cortisol. We want to get ahead of it so your body doesn't have to produce it in the first place, and you can do that with your meals.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. Just to kind of sum that up, when blood sugar crashes, stress hormones release. When stress hormones release, a lot of symptoms start to come up, and then that's where dysfunction. So that's where you'll really see a lot of digestive issues, hormone issues, sleep, anxiety, stuff like that. Okay. Um, the hangry feeling. And you see this in women a lot. Like, I feel like it's like a joke of like spouses like carrying snacks for their wives because we don't want the hangry monster to come out. And I think that's a really interesting thing that I think as a society we need to kind of reflect on is wow, it's women have become so dysregulated because we're not taught this that our people in our life have to make sure that we're fed, right? And this kind of like step back and just think about that because we don't feed ourselves well.
Hmm. Well, we also see it a lot in kiddos. So, like, if
Yeah,
I think about what we used to feed Emmy
yeah.
before I knew about all of this stuff with snacks, like, what was it? It was all carbs.
Mm-hmm.
We bought, healthier options,
Yeah,
but like, I wasn't thinking about pairing it with a protein and a fat. It was just like,
yeah.
here's a quick, easy carb. And then what happens? She eats it, she feels good for a little bit, and then it comes back again.
And it's
And I'm like,
kick.
why won't you stop eating? And we hear this
Uh-huh.
all the time with moms. Like we all go everywhere with like all these snacks.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're to a point, and Emmy's old enough, Bo's not, but Emmy's old enough now to know, okay, mommy, when I go get a snack, I need to pair it with ideally a protein, fat, and a carb. So now she'll go grab like her meat stick and a cheese. Or if she's
Mm-hmm.
going to grab like her pack of fruit, she'll grab a cheese or a yogurt or something to pair with it because she now
Yeah.
knows one, it makes her feel better, but it
Mm-hmm.
also keeps her fuller longer.
Yeah.
So, like, even as parents looking at the things you're feeding your kiddos, and I'm not demonizing all of these snacks, I'm not saying that at all. But if you can start pairing it with something that is more balanced, where they still can have their little thing that they love,
Mm-hmm.
but pairing it with stuff that's also protein, fat, and carbs is going to make a big difference. And you're going to spend less money on snacks because they're not going
Yeah.
to be eating constantly.
Yeah. Well,
Makes a
it's
big
like
difference.
the kiddos that can like pound down a bag of goldfish. It's
Oh,
because
yeah.
they're starving and their nervous system is trying to balance out and regulate,
Yep.
but it's so dysregulated due to the blood sugar crashing that it's really hard for them to function. And this is where like weight issues come into play with adults and with kids, is because yeah, you constantly are eating because your body's constantly trying to keep your blood sugar balanced. Where if you just keep your blood sugar balanced from the get-go, that then helps keep things more stable, all in
Absolutely.
all.
Yep.
I also, we will talk about like how to balance blood sugar, but I do, while we're in the beginning of the episode, I do want to plug this. I love that so many women are getting so into protein. I love that. I
Hmm.
do. It's so important. It is. But we can't just focus on protein.
Totally.
And I think that's what's happening a little bit right now is a lot of women are like, oh, I'm getting my 100 grams of protein in, but then like that's also all they're eating.
Yep.
And protein decreases blood sugar, right? So it lowers your blood sugar. That's not what we want, right? So we do want to replenish your blood sugar with a carb, eat it with a protein. That helps kind of like balance out. It's like one's going up, one's going down, so that keeps a happy medium, right? So if we're just eating protein all the time, you're also going to experience blood sugar crashes. So this is where it's like carbs are not bad. Blood sugar is not just for diabetics. Every single human needs to keep their blood sugar regulated. It's literally how we live. So I want to like plug that. Like, yes, protein's so important, but we can't just focus on protein. Okay.
Yep. Super important.
Um, let's see. Women also have, when you're in your menstruating years, within your monthly cycle, you use glucose differently. So when you're bleeding and pre-ovulation, you're going to be a little bit higher estrogen. You actually might do a little bit better. Please take this with a grain of salt. Do not go full send into like a low carb diet, please. But you might do a little bit better with like a higher fat, higher protein, a little lower carb. Please still eat carbs. But estrogen and glucose do oppose each other. So if your estrogen is higher, it's going to be harder to keep your glucose regulated. So you can go a little lower carb, a little, not no carb, just a little lower carb, a little higher fat, and then still keep protein kind of balanced. And that can be really helpful and really supportive in the first half of your cycle. And then in the second half of your cycle, progesterone needs glucose to be produced. We need to keep our blood sugar very balanced. It's harder to keep your blood sugar balanced, so that's why women eat more. You need to eat more. It's part of it. We'll do a cycle syncing episode, I'm sure, at some point. Um, but in the second half of your cycle, definitely eat carbs. Carbs, 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 ladies. Like truly, your body needs it to produce progesterone. I think that's also a huge play into this low progesterone epidemic is women are undereating carbs and are not balancing their blood sugar.
I think I also want to just highlight what you just said about it's not just like in your head or this crazy
Mm-mm.
thing where you're like, I want carbs. Why do I want all these
Yeah.
carbs?
No.
It's literally biological. Like
Yeah.
your hormones are asking for that for a reason at a certain point during your cycle.
Yeah. Your
So,
sugar cravings are like literally what you need for hormones.
yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
not
like
a you problem. It's not a sugar addiction problem. It's literally what your body needs.
don't shame yourself. I'm not saying go eat an entire bag of chocolate chip cookies or
Yeah.
whatever, but
Yeah.
like don't shame yourself just because your body's telling you it needs something.
Yeah. But frankly, in that point of your cycle, have two cookies with lunch.
Totally.
Beautiful. Three
Yeah.
cookies. Like, honestly, you may need it. Like, we need to start fueling that second half of our cycle. That helps so much with luteal phase issues. And I think that's where luteal phase, like the PMS phase, gets coined the PMS phase. And I'm like, it's not, the phase can be very beautiful. It can be very balanced. We just have to know how to fuel ourselves and balance our blood sugar to do it. So, Amber, go ahead and jump into common signs of blood sugar imbalance because I think that would
Cool.
be really helpful for ladies to see like what they need to work on and if they need to work on it.
Do you want to explain really quick what the checklist is going to be and how they're going to have access to it, or do you want me to just jump into it?
Yeah, so basically I've created a 5-day kind of like reset guide. It's all focused on like balancing your energy, supporting your cycles, supporting digestion. We'll link it in the show notes, but this checklist that we're going to give you guys is actually in that guide. And my goal for it is you fill out the checklist before doing the guide, you do the guide, and then you redo the checklist at the end and see how your body is responding to things. So the guide's called 5 Days to Better Energy, Moods, and Periods. Um, so Amber's going to go through the checklist. If you say yes to three or more, just three or more, you likely have some blood sugar dysregulation.
Okay. So, mental notes in your head, everybody. Check off three. So, be thinking as we go. All right. First one, waking up between 2 to 3 a.m. consistently.
And it's not because you have to pee. Like
No.
you might think it's because you have to pee or you have a small bladder. An adult can sleep through the night.
I want to add one thing into this really quick when we talk about that. This is something we saw a lot in my daughter, waking up between 2 to 3 a.m. and we started adding in a bedtime snack
Hmm.
because of Johanna's suggestion.
Yep.
And she very rarely wakes up
Hmm.
now, unless it's
Yeah.
like a nightmare or something random. But for the most part, she sleeps really well. And it was always between that 2 to 3 a.m.
Yeah. I would
Uh,
say with pregnancy, just because I'm pregnant, it's on my mind. your bladder may not be able to make it through the whole night.
Totally.
So, so if you are an adult that is not pregnant, you should be able to
Yes,
sleep through the whole night without your bladder talking to you. If you are
totally.
pregnant, your bladder's probably going to talk to you. Even then, if your bladder is talking to you and it's 2 to 3 a.m., you probably still need some blood sugar work
Yeah,
though.
it's a combination.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, number two, afternoon energy crashes that require caffeine or naps. Number three, intense sugar or carb cravings, especially before your period, which is what we just talked about. Feeling hangry, irritable, or anxious when hungry. Needing multiple cups of coffee just to function. I feel like I'm like explaining so many moms right now.
You're going to say yourself, and I'm like, no,
Well,
Amber.
thankfully, no. I really
Yeah.
don't. I
Yeah.
used to. I don't
I know
anymore,
you're
which
doing
is
great.
amazing. Like I have my one cup in the morning and I'm good. Feeling shaky, lightheaded, or panicky between meals.
I'm
This
also
is,
going to add
go
in
ahead.
the feeling of not being able to think.
Yeah,
Like you're
that's a
just like,
really good
I
one.
can't think about
Yep.
anything. That happened to me a couple nights ago. I had a blood sugar crash before
Mhm.
dinner, and my husband asked me a question, and my mind was completely blank.
Yep.
So like that is like I can't even think
Mhm.
is often a blood sugar crash.
The feeling shaky and lightheaded is like totally me in like high school, college when I
Yes.
did not understand how to regulate my blood sugar. Like we would go on vacations and especially if it was like hot out and I hadn't ate, there was multiple times like I almost passed out because my blood sugar would get so low. So it's just
Yeah.
wild what I can do to you. Okay, trouble falling asleep despite exhaustion. So you're just so dang tired, but literally cannot fall asleep. Waking up feeling unrested, like you could sleep for hours more. Energy crashes after meals, especially carb heavy ones. Persistent bloating that gets worse throughout the day. Brain fog that comes and goes with your cycle. PMS symptoms that seem to get worse each month. Mood swings that feel out of your control. Period pain that disrupts your life. Yeah, people, did you know that having horrible PMS symptoms is not normal?
Yeah.
Irregular cycles or cycles that feel off, strong reactions to missed or delayed meals, and last but not least, weight that will not budge despite doing everything right. I feel like we just spoke to so many women with that last line. My
Yeah.
clients and yours.
Yeah. I'm like, this describes every single client that comes to both of us.
Literally,
Yeah. And
literally.
this is why we wanted to do this episode and why I wanted to create the guide that I have, because this is such a life-changing um thing to focus on. Like I feel like blood sugar is being talked a lot more on social media and stuff like that, but I think it can still be in a very like delivered in a very overwhelming way. And so we're trying to keep it simple. And it's seriously is will change your life.
Well, one thing that I hear often, and I'm sure you hear this a lot too, is clients come to me saying, I'm doing everything right. I'm working out
Uh-huh.
and I'm eating so clean or I'm eating
Yeah.
so healthy. Which may be true. You are eating really clean or really healthy by, those standards. But if we're not balancing the blood sugar, and a lot of times even when they say they're eating really clean or eating really well, it's still severely under eating. So
Hmm.
it's clean, but it's still not getting what your body needs. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
fascinating.
So some factors that disrupt blood sugar, just like what Amber was saying, skipping meals or under eating. So when you skip a meal, your body literally has no sugar, no fuel to keep your blood sugar regulated. So then you're going to rely on that cortisol and stress hormones. Under eating, this is so common. Like I did a metabolism and hormones masterclass. I can also link that. It's free. It is there for you to learn about your women's metabolism and hormones. But it's because the reason we created that is because women chronically undereat. Like I've had so few clients come to me eating enough, but everyone thinks that they're overeating.
All
So
the time.
you listening, I know you probably think that you overeat because unfortunately that's what, oh my God. Okay, a girlfriend of mine 2 or 3 weeks ago texted me.
Yeah.
She's having some like weight loss resistance, stuff like that. And
Mhm.
her doctor, she was talking to her doctor about that, and he was like, well, have you tried counting calories? And you just want to like laugh. It's like, well, no shit.
Of course I have.
Yeah, of course I had. So her doctor said that. And then she said, well, yeah, I like eat around like 2000 or 2200 or whatever it was. And he goes, oh, no, 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 eating 1800 to 2000, like that's really just for teenagers. Adults don't need that much.
I would
For
love
those
to
of you
say
that
that
can't see our
surprised.
face,
I'd
we're
love
just
to
like,
say
oh my
that
God.
that surprises me, but it
Yeah,
doesn't.
it doesn't. Yeah. So it's not your fault, ladies. Like, we have, unfortunately, doctors saying that. And like, there's just so much that demonizes sugar and eating out there
Can
for
you
women. It's
can you
crazy.
pause for a second and just because this every time that you or I say this, it just like I think it's such a light bulb for people. Will you talk about how much calories a toddler needs?
1,200.
Isn't that wild, people?
You
1,200.
guys, a toddler, that's a 2-year-old. They're
Yeah.
so itty bitty teeny tiny.
And then we have women that are eating 15, 1,600, maybe even less, and
I have
wondering
women that are
why
eating
they feel
900.
like, yeah, or they feel like crap
Hmm.
and they can't lose weight and they can't gain muscle. And they're like not seeing results. But like, but I'm eating so clean. Yeah, but your body's starving.
Or they also intuitively feel like they're eating enough, and that's because their metabolism has slowed down so much
Yes.
to
Yes.
match the input of 900, 1,000, 1,200 calories. So they feel like they're eating enough because they don't have hunger cues.
Totally.
That's all dysregulation, though. It's like signs of stress, it's metabolic dysfunction because it's slowing down. So that's a whole nother conversation. I do
Yep.
have the masterclass. We'll link it. It's free. Please take it. Um, because yeah, it's a chronic issue. And I
Mhm.
think like when I say it, people like don't believe me. And I'm like, no, like it's not like the issue for women, but it is a huge issue for adults in general. But yeah, especially women. Okay, so skipping meals or under eating, high stress lifestyles, and like cortisol spiking lifestyles. And this is like, we've done a lot of episodes on this, but it's like that go, 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 always saying yes, never saying no, putting everything on your shoulders, not ever asking for help. Maybe working a high stress job, maybe working many jobs. I think working night shift can be really tricky. Anything else that you want to add to that?
No, I think that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah, I feel like we've done like our entire first season was basically all
Yeah.
on stress. So go
Yeah.
back and listen
Like
to
go
those
watch,
episodes.
yeah, go watch our stress episode in particular. I feel like we
Yeah,
really hit
yeah,
it hard on that one.
for sure. Diets high in processed carbs or sugar without enough protein or fiber. So this would be like a frappuccino, right? Like super high in sugar. And then the fats in it aren't great fats, like they're more like seed oil fats, which causes more dysregulation with your blood sugar. So it's like that type of sugar. And it's still like not it is the sugar that's the issue, but it's like not the sugar that's the issue, right? It's how we're consuming it. So that can be definitely be kind of tricky and cause a lot of disrupted blood sugar. Poor sleep is like a huge factor. And it's a little bit of a vicious cycle because if you have poor sleep, you have dysregulated blood sugar. If you have dysregulated blood sugar, you have
You
poor
have poor
sleep.
sleep.
Yeah, so you kind of have to like throw in a wrench into that cycle and shift things positive and have some patience and persevere through like seeing those changes. Um, I would say like pregnancy hormonal shifts and postpartum hormonal shifts. We're going to talk about pregnancy and postpartum here just a little bit. Um, PCOS, but I'd also say like so PCOS for those of you who don't know, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. Yes, yes, it causes blood sugar issues, but it's more like blood sugar issues are causing PCOS. So it's kind of like a little two-pronged. You have to understand what's causing your PCOS, and that's something that like we can help you with because it could be like gut dysfunction, it could be insulin resistance, but it's normally not just insulin resistance. It could be iron dysregulation. This is huge. I honestly don't think we've had a PCOS client that didn't have iron dysregulation, mineral issues, stuff like that. So there's a lot to play with going on with the PCOS. So it's more complicated than like, oh, you have PCOS, therefore you have blood sugar issues. If you have PCOS, I don't want you to think that you can't do anything about it. Thyroid issues definitely play a role. I'm going to say metabolic issues as well. Perimenopause and menopause also, you kind of have to understand like how to work with your blood sugar with that because you're not going to be as insulin sensitive. And then having mineral imbalances as well would so like having like calcium and magnesium dysregulation that plays a role in like how you balance blood sugar. If you don't have enough potassium in your system or don't have enough sodium in your system, that plays a huge role. So there's a big like nutrient component to blood sugar too that's getting a little bit deeper into figuring out some of the root causes of dysregulated blood sugar besides just lifestyle stuff. You can dig into that with HTMA testing, hair tissue mineral analysis, which you can do through us if that's something that you're curious about.
Love it. All right, should we jump into practical examples?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to give you a list of things you can do to support your blood sugar starting today.
I
So
also want to
go
say,
ahead.
like, pick one of these from
Yeah,
the
don't
list
do all
to
of
start
them.
with. Yeah.
It's gonna be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun too if you pick one and then like try it with your whole family if you have a
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. You
Implement
could
it with
always like
them.
write them down and be like, okay, I'm going to start with this one
Yep,
and then do this one and then do this one. Like,
totally.
please do not do all of them at
No,
once.
no, it's gonna be a lot. Okay, so the first one is eating within 60 minutes of waking. This even includes my gals that are like, but I work out first thing in the morning. How am I going to do that? So it
Do
doesn't
it.
have to be like a full on meal, just something. A few
Yeah.
bites of yogurt. For me, it's protein powder and orange juice. I always work out at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to have a whole meal. So just something.
You
I
work out at
I do.
5,
Yeah.
like
5:30.
5:00.
5:30. Yeah, 5 or 5:30. Yeah, yeah. So for me, like I'm not gonna go out and make my full breakfast at 5:30 in the morning when everyone's sleeping, but I'm gonna make something. So
Yeah.
protein powder and orange juice is a really good option. I've also had clients try like protein coffee because if people are like so dead set on having their coffee in the morning, which I'll talk about that in a second, throw some protein powder in it. Throw some whole milk in. So you're still getting protein, fat, and carbs, but you're getting something in ideally within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. Makes a
I
really
would say so that lovingly from like my perspective, the protein coffee is like last resort. You're kind of being
Oh,
stubborn.
totally. Yeah.
It's like
Yep.
you're being stubborn. I
Mm-hmm.
lovingly am saying grow
Mm-hmm.
up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're an adult. Like we can do it. You
Yeah.
can do it, I promise. And getting protein, fats, and carbs in early in the morning will help with energy so you aren't as dependent on caffeine. So
Yep.
do that only if you're in like a bind
Mm-hmm.
or something along those lines. But I would say like I do think like social media is trending towards that a little bit more of like, oh, we can just hack your blood sugar by
Yeah.
doing this. And I'm like, no, you're still not getting enough fuel considering you're revving your metabolism, you're revving your engine with that caffeine, right? So just kind of keep that in mind of like, I do really like the orange juice and protein powder.
Mm-hmm.
I think like a small bowl of oats with some
Yep.
like protein powder or Greek yogurt or
Yep.
some fruit and Greek yogurt or fruit and cottage cheese, something along those lines. It doesn't have to be big. I would also say too, like, I used to never be able to eat before working out, and now that I have much more balanced blood sugar, I can eat an entire meal and within an hour, like go work out and it's totally fine. So I do think like your body starts to adapt to it a little bit better too, the more regulated you get and the more
Oh, for
robust your
sure.
metabolism is.
Yeah. And a lot of the times too, for my gals that do work out, like get right up and go straight to work out, that's more where I would do the like orange juice, protein,
Yes.
stuff like
Yeah,
that. I'm
for
not
sure.
saying that everyone when they wake up
Yeah,
needs to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. Like if you wake up and you're not going to work out right away, like just have your normal breakfast of whatever that looks like. It's more
Though I,
the
I do like this though, because for people that like have been skipping breakfast their entire life,
true.
to just wake up and go eat a whole meal, like that's probably gonna make them vomit because or like feel like they're gonna vomit because their body's not used to it. So I
Oh,
think
totally.
those are really nice like transitions.
Like
Um,
do it gradually.
yeah, do it gradually, and then your
Yep.
appetite will start to come back and it will get easier.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that we've been taught for so long is like, well, if I'm not hungry, don't eat. But like
Yeah,
we were just talking off camera, and I'll elaborate on this later. I have clients now that are messaging me being like, "Oh my God, I woke up hungry."
yeah,
Because their metabolism's, I like the word I use is like your metabolism's waking up. And it's
yep,
like, "Oh, cool, we have food."
yeah. And it's a stress response to wake
Yep.
up without an appetite.
Yep.
And so you don't want to feed into that by having more dysregulated blood sugar.
Totally. All right, back to coffee.
Yeah.
So eat before coffee is the ideal situation. So yes, this means don't get up and have a cup of coffee first. If we're talking both blood sugar and, of course, I have to put in the pelvic floor. If we're talking like pelvic floor health,
Oh
bladder
yeah.
health, all of that kind of stuff, having hydration, so like water or whatever you like for hydration, and then at least some food before coffee is going to make a huge difference. So try and get away from your coffee first thing in the morning.
And the big reason for the, and I kind of want to say caffeine, not just coffee, is like
Yes,
eat before caffeine.
energy drinks, all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
because the
Yeah.
caffeine is stimulating your metabolism. So it's revving your engine on an empty tank.
And it's
That's going
irritating
to
your
cause
bladder.
stress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
irritating your bladder. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Okay. Build balanced meals. So protein, fiber, fat, carbs. This is what we talked about earlier. Yes, we want to be pushing protein, but we also need to be having the fat and the carbs together. So going for more of a balanced meal, balanced
Mhm.
plate. Don't skip meals. I think this one is huge. I made a reel on this a couple weeks ago, and I was talking about this idea of, oh, I'm going to skip lunch because I'm gonna have a huge dinner and I want to save room for dessert. Well,
Mhm.
then your body's in this like stress state waiting, and then most of the time you end up binging even more and eating more food because your body's starving and then you just don't feel good. It's like don't skip meals to save calories. Eat
Yeah.
your meals. I have gals too. If you're someone listening and you're like, "Oh, I only eat maybe one or two meals." I see this a lot in moms. I'm only getting in one or two meals a day. You're probably not going to be able to go from where you're at now to
Yeah.
eating three solid meals. Like, do this in baby steps with everything we're talking about implementing. And as silly as it might sound, you're going to have to make something that's like a trigger for you. Set an
Yeah.
alarm to
Mhm.
literally go eat. I have
Yeah.
clients put sticky notes on their fridge or on their bathroom mirror or whatever to
Mhm.
start training themselves to go eat meals.
Yeah.
So,
I think don't let, oh, I just forgot to eat be an
yes.
excuse anymore. Like you have to kind of decide, okay, I'm not going to allow myself to do that anymore.
Well, we've
This is
talked
why
about it
like I
before.
lovingly always say like, I love you, but you're an adult. Like stop harming yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's like we don't let our kids skip
Yeah.
meals. We feed our dogs, we feed our
Yeah.
cats. Like, why are we not feeding ourselves?
Yeah.
You know?
Because we're different, Amber. We're special.
Apparently. All right, walking after meals. This is something that we've really started focusing on and implementing. That was a hard word. In our house.
Mhm.
So there's good evidence coming out that if you walk for, I think it's like 10 to 15 minutes is what's the most
Mhm.
beneficial. So it's not a ton. After a meal, this can really help with blood sugar regulation.
Yeah.
So simple one to start implementing. Strength training. Do you want to elaborate on that? You put explain what this means. What were
I
you
want you to elaborate what strength training means because when I talk about this to like clients
Mhm.
or just women in general, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I do strength training. I use 5 pound dumbbells in my fitness classes, right?"
Yes.
That's not the type of strength training that we're talking
No,
about. Or is that bad? Not necessarily, but it's not the type of strength training that's going to support your blood sugar.
totally.
Main reason we want to build muscle and you're not going to build muscle with that. So will you explain
Yep.
that in like
I
a
will
loving
definitely.
way?
So the first thing to keep in mind is I don't want to demonize fitness classes.
Yeah.
I don't want to make you feel like you can't go to them. I think there's tons of value in them. However, I don't think that doing high intensity or spin classes or random YouTube workouts or HIIT workouts or whatever should be the only thing that women do.
People, adults.
Anyone. Yeah. So I have many clients come to me that say, Amber, I've been working out all the time. I've been doing Beachbody or I've been doing this, I've been doing that, but I don't feel like I'm building muscle. I feel like I'm holding on to fat. I feel fit, but I don't feel strong. Okay. What we know actually builds muscle in our bodies is we call progressive loading. I'm not going to get into like the really nitty gritty, but essentially this means going away from your 5 pound weights at 15 to 20 reps. So really high rep counts, really low weight, right? Or a really high intensity workout and switching to consistent workouts. Yes, this means doing the same workouts for a series of weeks. This can look different based on what your programming is. Example for my clients, they all do the same workouts for 6 weeks in a row.
I want to add, that's not like one workout multiple
No,
times a week for
no.
6 weeks. It's like the workout that you do on Monday is going to
It's
be the
different than
same workout that you
Tuesday.
do
Yep.
on Monday
The
for the
following
next
Monday.
4 weeks. And
Yep.
then the Wednesday workout is going to be the same Wednesday. So it's like you do 3 or 2 or whatever your
Yep.
workout is for that week. You're going to do that same thing, rinse and repeat. Maybe you're increasing weights throughout that, or hopefully you're increasing
Yep.
weights throughout that, but you're doing that for a 4 to 6 week increment. That's called periodization
Yep.
or progressive overload. And that's how you build muscle. It's not using 5 pound dumbbells in your Pilates class. And I'm
Yep.
like saying this like I'm a Pilates instructor, like
Yeah.
and like a bar instructor, and like I have a
Yeah.
very robust background in group fitness classes, right? They're really awesome for community building. I think they're great for getting your heart rate up, but they're not necessarily the thing that's going to build muscle.
Yep. Yeah. So it's the same movements, again, different day of the week for about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks on average. Some even do 12. Okay. So you over time, your muscles start growing as you increase the weights and do the same movement patterns for a series of time. Okay.
Mhm.
And at lower rep counts. So I'm talking girls pushing yourself from doing those 5 to 10 pound weights, depending on what movement you're doing, to higher reps so that we're higher weight, excuse me, so that those last few reps, they feel really, really challenging. The
Mhm.
other thing I want to add in here is this misconception that feeling a burn is
Mhm.
one, a must in order to see results, and two, that it means you're building muscle. Neither one of those are true. It just means you're having lactic acid buildup in the muscle. It doesn't mean you're actually building muscle. It's like I'll have clients come to me and be like, Amber, I didn't feel like that workout was that hard. I wasn't feeling the burn. Well,
Mhm.
it's not that the workout was too easy. It's that you didn't choose weights that were challenging enough to make the workout more difficult. So a
Yeah.
lot of times it's just looking at how consistently are we actually doing the workouts? Are we repeating them? And are we increasing the intensity over time, whether that's with rep counts, sets, and or weight or time under weight.
And I want to give an example here because I think it can still be really hard to conceptualize if you haven't weightlifted before. So like we're talking about like a bicep curl
Hmm.
at like 10 pounds, maybe a starting point, and then you're going 15 pounds to 20 pounds. You might go 17 and a half to then
Yep.
20 pounds, 22 and a half to 25. Like I can do bicep curls at 20, 25 pounds or
Yep.
so. I could
Yep.
probably do more if I like really focused on it, but
Mhm.
and my goal is to get heavier and stronger with that.
Yep.
Deadlifting, like I have gotten to a point where like I can deadlift over 200 pounds. That's
Hmm.
like well more than my body weight. Amber, like why don't you
Same.
give some examples too? Because I think it's important for women to hear that. That does not make you bulky. It does not make you look masculine. It just makes you strong, and which
Hmm.
is what we want. Like
Hmm.
there, that could be a whole other episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even think about if someone goes in and picks up dumbbells to go do like dumbbell squats. If you're every single week picking up the exact same weight
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, well, this isn't feeling very hard. Let me add 10 more reps. All you're doing
Mhm.
again is building up lactic acid. You'd be better off picking a weight that's much more challenging and doing way less reps than doing a whole bunch more reps at a low weight.
Would you say that that's more endurance focused? So the
Yeah.
muscle is going to be able to endure things for longer, but that
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean it's getting stronger in its capacity to lift.
No, and we know based on the research that if women really do want to burn fat, we need lean muscle mass. To
Hmm.
build lean muscle mass, we have to actually be challenging the muscles. So if
Building the
all
muscle.
we're doing is really high rep counts with low weights, you're not really challenging the muscle and your muscle will adapt over time.
Yeah.
Which is why every time you go in, you're like, well, this doesn't really feel like it's doing much anymore. I need to
Hmm.
do a bunch more. Well, your muscle's used to it because it's
Yeah.
built up endurance. It's
Yeah.
not actually building strength. Versus when my clients look at their workouts, it'll literally say, I'm not going to go into RPE, but I'm just going to say there's a term called RPE. We can break this down some other episode. But basically, that is how you increase the intensity. So I am literally cueing my clients every week to
Hmm.
increase the intensity a little bit so the muscles start responding and then we actually build muscle.
Yeah.
This is very different when we say strength train than just going and doing your HIIT class or
Yeah.
your another one I see is like, oh, I do Peloton and I do the really quick
Yeah.
workouts. Again, those aren't bad. I'm not demonizing them, but they can't be the only thing you're doing if you truly want to see results.
It's just not lifting heavy enough to build muscle.
No, no.
You might start seeing more definition, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're building muscle at the same time. So
Hmm.
the reason that we brought this up, this was like a whole nother like little mini episode inside this
Yep.
episode, but it's important and we're passionate about it. But the reason we brought this up is by having more muscle mass, it improves your glucose regulation.
Mm.
So it increases your body's ability to take up and utilize glucose. And
Yep.
it also helps with insulin sensitivity. So PCOS ladies, start lifting weights, start building muscle.
Important. Well, the other
Um,
thing that we've seen too is there's a big shift in how your body responds to exercise right when you hit around like 30 to 35
mhm.
years old. It's wild to say that I'm in that already. So what may have worked for years, which
Mhm.
was more like your high intensity classes, things like that, what worked really well to get you results, all of a sudden you're like, wait, why isn't this working anymore? And we've seen that the female body in particular really craves heavier strength training when we
Mhm.
start getting into that window. So if you're noticing that, like, why isn't this working anymore?
Yeah.
That may be why. You
Yeah.
have to change what you're doing. All right. The last thing we have on the lifestyle tips is prioritizing sleep and managing stress. I feel like we talk about this all the time because it's so dang important.
Yeah.
So yeah, focusing on that. So again, pick one thing out of that big list that we gave you. Do not go try and tackle all of them.
Yeah.
Do that one for a few weeks, then go to the next one and go through them slowly. All right, I'm kicking the mic to you again.
So we're gonna do nutrition habits now, kind of same thing. I'm gonna go through four of them. Pick one, probably not at the same time as the other one that you picked. Like just take one thing at a time. So pick one, work on it, and then go from there. So first, pair proteins, carbs, fats together, and then I ideally include something with fiber. So this could be, for example, for breakfast, you could do oats. That's going to have your carbs and fiber. Add some half and half, which is going to have some fat, and then add a scoop of protein, or have Greek yogurt on the side, or have some eggs on your side, which will have protein and fat as well. So that's what breakfast could look like. If you've been skipping breakfast for most of your life, maybe you start with a small serving of the oatmeal and only one egg, or a small amount of protein powder or something like that. But the goal is to eventually increase. We really like our clients to have breakfast and lunch as the biggest meals of their day because you're front loading energy for then your body has that to burn. It's like putting gas in your car before you run the engine versus burning, being dysregulated, having dysregulated blood sugar, and then feeling hangry and then needing to eat. right? Like it's kind of like our society does a little backwards. Minimize naked carbs. So I don't know how many women say, "Oh, I ate breakfast, I had a banana." Raise your hand if you've done that. And then you had it with coffee, like black coffee, like whoo. So, or like a donut for breakfast, or just cereal for breakfast. Like at least cereal, like you have some milk with it, but even then, it's like it's still just not enough. So minimize naked carbs. I feel like bananas are not snacks. Bananas can be part of a snack. Bananas can be part of breakfast, but it's not going to be an isolated thing. I'm not going to go too in depth with like teaching what protein, fats, and carbs are. My guide will teach you that. And I also think we luckily have AI as well, so they can help you with that too. Um, Take apple cider vinegar or digestive bitters before meals. Apple cider vinegar, start with like a teaspoon in a shot glass of water. This whole like take 4 tablespoons, like that's crazy. No one wants to do that. It's so strong. Just
Mm-mm.
take like a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in a shot glass of water before meals. That can help with digesting things better, keep your blood sugar nice and stable. Digestive bitters are great. I really like Urban Moonshine and Wise Women Herbals for digestive bitters. Most digestive bitters are not pregnancy safe. Fruit of the womb herbals, which actually Michael Rutherford, it's his business, and we're going to have him on later in this season. He does have some pregnancy safe bitters. Snack smart. So I already mentioned this. So like you want protein, fat, and carbs together, not just a naked carb. So like hard-boiled eggs and berries versus just a banana, something like that for snacking smarter. I'd also say too, this isn't necessarily in here, but it's something that can be really helpful. Think about meals more than snacks. I feel like women are like chronic snackers. And that's because we're so go go go, and I think it because our society has like kind of made it feel like that's okay because then we're not eating too much. Like there's like that nuance with it. But start focusing on building your meals, and I promise you will need less snacks. Your grocery bill will also thank you. Like snacks are so expensive.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. Like when you
It's
really
cheap.
actually look at like how much hummus costs
Yeah.
in like a little container, or like chips and stuff like that, like they're very expensive. Where if you start focusing on meals, your grocery bill will, maybe it won't come down, but you're getting better bang for your buck, and you're nourishing yourself more and getting much more stable. So
Yep.
overall, we just really want to communicate this to you. It's not about cutting carbs, because I think when people think balanced blood sugar and blood sugar stuff, they think about no carbs. It's not about that. It's about having carbs. Like I said, we need glucose, we need them. But you need to pair the carbs smartly so your body feels safe, fueled, and nice and steady. Okay? So, some special considerations for pregnancy and postpartum. So, blood sugar regulation naturally shifts in pregnancy. This is why you often see like the gestational diabetes test to see how your body's using insulin and glucose and stuff like that. Women are often more insulin sensitive in the first trimester, so you can actually feel very dysregulated with your with your glucose levels or your blood sugar levels, and this is because your body's shuttling them away more. It's actually like why women will gain more weight. It's not a bad thing. We actually do want to be more insulin sensitive. We want to shuttle more glucose away for later in pregnancy and for breastfeeding. So we just need to know that that means that you need to eat more carbs and keep it nice and balanced. We're also then going to be a little bit more insulin resistant in third trimester. That's very natural, it's very normal. That might mean that you don't tolerate carbs as well, so you do need to go more higher protein and higher fat. However, still please have carbs and like work with your provider or work with, myself or a practitioner to like see what you specifically need for that. We also want to plug, you can do for the gestational diabetes test, you can do the fresh test instead of glucola. Glucola is this nasty syrup that has red 40 in it, which I don't even know if maybe it will eventually not have red 40
It
because
has
it'll
a
be
whole bunch of
questionable.
other things. Just like
It
there's
has, it's
so much gross
nasty.
stuff in
Yeah,
it.
it's disgusting. Um, but some of these, I don't know if it was like OBs or who came
It
up
was a
with.
bunch of OBs that came up with fresh test. Yep.
Okay,
Group of them. Yeah, they
so
started
I think it was
it.
like female OB because
It
they're like, well, I
was.
don't want to put this in my body. So they came up with a fresh test, which is like a very clean, pure ingredient.
And it tastes like lemonade. It tastes good.
Yeah, I actually just did it on Monday, and it
Yeah.
tastes just fine. It's 50 grams. The one I did was 50 grams of glucose.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and it's great. So you can definitely do that instead of the glucola, and we'll put the link in show notes.
Yep. All right. Now we're going to touch specifically on breastfeeding and postpartum. So when we're postpartum, we're sleeping less, we're more stressed, our body's trying to heal. More often than not, we're not eating as consistently. And just the demands of breastfeeding and raising a human can be more challenging. So I think this is where preparing and educating yourself before postpartum arrives is really, really important. I also really encourage clients to prep meals before baby arrives, like do
Mhm.
freezer meals. I'd rather you focus on that than like having the nursery perfect.
Yes.
Focus on, is someone gonna have a food train for you? Great. Are you gonna freeze meals, have them in your fridge? Do you have someone that can help stock your fridge for you? Utilize grocery delivery if you have it in your area. So you keep things on hand that make it easier for you to eat consistently, keep your milk supply up, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go to yours and then go back to me again.
Sure. Protein, very important for pregnancy and postpartum.
Hmm.
It is a building block for your body. So it's how you build skin, bones, cells, etc. So we need it. We're also building a human. And then when you're postpartum and breastfeeding, you're using it to make milk. So very, very important. But like we've said before, you also need to make sure that you're eating it with enough carbs and fat as well to keep your blood sugar nice and steady. Micronutrients are also super important. These are things like vitamins and minerals. Well, I'm not going to touch on that right now, just because that could
That's a whole
absolutely
nother call.
that
Yeah.
could be a
Yep.
whole nother thing. But just know that like this is such a metabolically demanding time. It's literally like pregnancy is literally equivalent to running a marathon every day, and then breastfeeding. Breastfeeding alone takes 25% of your energy. Your brain takes 20%. So like we have to start eating more postpartum, and that's how that's how you balance postpartum is eating enough, and it's like eating way more than what most women think. So just know that you need to work on micronutrient replenishment. It's vitamins, minerals. We need enough protein, fats, and carbs. We'll do an episode on that another time.
Okay. I know some of this is going to feel repetitive to you guys, but again, focusing during pregnancy postpartum, supporting energy and mood through food, not relying on caffeine, not relying on a quick instant sugar, pairing protein, fat, and carbs. So again, snack and eat smarter. And then
Mhm.
one hack that Johanna and I both have found that's been beneficial for our clients, both during pregnancy and I even think postpartum, especially when you're breastfeeding, is trying
Yeah.
to eat about every 90 minutes. Can be really helpful. So instead of especially if you're having like morning sickness and not feeling great, not waiting for these solid breakfast, lunch, dinner. Maybe you have more meals than that and they're around every 90 minutes.
Yeah.
They're obviously going to be smaller meals, but
Yeah.
that can be really helpful for blood sugar regulation just in general, feeling
Yeah.
better. All right.
100%.
We're going to jump into personal examples that we've seen either in ourselves or clients. So you go
Yeah.
ahead and go first with yours and then I'll jump into mine.
Okay. So I'm actually gonna bring up my personal most recent experience with my gestational diabetes test because I've had very stable blood sugar for quite a while. I'll have like little swings. Like before this call, I was like, "Ooh, I might be having like a little bit of like a low blood sugar, something going on." I'm also pregnant. But I haven't had like a massive blood sugar crash or dealing with anything like that in a very, very long time. But I had my gestational diabetes test on Monday. And basically, what that is you don't eat for 2 to 3 hours. You consume 50 plus grams of sugar, depending on what your provider's having you do. They draw your blood an hour later and they see how quickly your body cleared out sugar. My body cleared out the sugar very quickly, which is a good thing. It may have been a little too quick though, but I actually felt pretty stable. Like I remember saying to my husband, like, wow, I'm actually not feeling hangry or anything like that. But the thing I did notice for me was I pounded chips and salsa.
Hmm.
Like I ate probably half a bag of tortilla chips and I didn't even really realize what I was doing until after I did it. And then I felt very dysregulated trying to keep my blood sugar stable the rest of that evening, and I think I didn't sleep very well that night. And I'm honestly actually now kind of reflecting, I'm wondering if that's kind of what's going on still for me, is like my body's still trying to recover from like having that blood sugar crash. So even though I didn't necessarily feel like a big dip, couldn't think moment on Monday, it's now Thursday and I still feel like my blood sugar's been a little more dysregulated this week. So something that I think is important to know is blood sugar dysregulation, once it starts to happen, the effects can happen for another 48 hours. So if you skip breakfast on Monday morning, that can affect all of Monday, all of Tuesday. And let's say you did it again Tuesday morning. Well, that's going to affect all of Tuesday twofold and now Wednesday. So it really sets the scene and sets the tone for your energy levels and keeping things nice and stable for the next 2 days. And so I think that's really important to know. So I haven't experienced this for a long time, and now I'm like, whoa, like Wow, I used to like binge a chocolate bar or binge chips and hummus was like one of my like favorite go-tos, and I would like eat the entire thing of like a Hope's hummus. And now I'm like, wow, that was just dysregulated blood sugar before. And it was kind of interesting, like not having experienced that for a long time to like experiencing it on Monday.
Totally. It's wild.
Hmm.
But I also love too that now you have the education to be able to reflect and be like, oh, this is what was going on.
Yeah.
And
It's
everybody
not a control issue.
no, and everybody can get to that point
Yeah.
too, which is really cool with educating yourself.
Yeah.
All right, so mine is a client win story. This actually came in this morning. So it was like perfect timing. This was what we were talking about for our topic. So when this client started working with me, she'd been severely under eating for a long time. And that's something we're still working on. But specifically, she never woke up hungry ever and could go till like noon before eating. So one of the first things her and I worked on was just eating something in the morning. And yeah, it felt like she had to force herself in the
Yeah.
beginning. So it was literally a few bites of something. Her go-to was like Greek yogurt, like a couple bites of Greek yogurt. And we've been doing this now for coming up on 3 weeks, I
Hmm.
believe. And I got a message from her this morning, like all excited. She's like, "Oh my God, I woke up hungry."
Hmm.
And it's such a good sign because that means her metabolism is starting to do what we wanted to do. And it took a few weeks and it was like baby steps. And
Hmm.
over the time, over the last 3 weeks, she's slowly increased what she's eating for breakfast, where she's getting more and more in, and she's finally waking up hungry. So just the beauty of doing it slowly and realizing that waking up hungry is a good thing. Waking up
Yes.
not hungry is not like, oh, I shouldn't eat. No, it's a sign that your body is basically waving a flag, like, hey, this is a sign that we need help.
That makes me think, I don't know if you've ever heard, I'm sure you've heard this, but people will say, "Oh, I don't like eating eggs and toast for breakfast because then I'm starving for the rest of the day."
Yeah, I've heard that.
Or like where if I do like just coffee, I'm good. I can last till noon. And
It's a
I'm like,
suppressant. It suppresses your metabolism.
yeah, I'm
You're
like,
not hungry.
we don't want to do that. Like just doing the coffee lasting until noon, that's like blood sugar dysregulation, that's stress. You may not feel hangry, but that's because cortisol is keeping your blood sugar levels stable. We don't want that. That's when you get in like cortisol issues and stuff like that.
Without
So
going way into the rabbit hole of this, but you just made me think of something else. One thing that I'm struggling with the newest, like, I don't know if I want to even go down this rabbit hole, but I'm going to. All the new like peptides and
yeah,
like drinks and all of these things that are out that they're pushing. And again, I'm not demonizing these either, yeah, guys,
I'll
but
demonize them.
okay, I'll let Johanna do that part. But the biggest thing that they're promoting with them
Yeah.
is they suppress your appetite.
Hmm.
So you don't have a desire to eat. And I'm worried with this specifically with how much we already know women are under eating, and then we're suppressing the appetite and making everyone think that's a good thing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's probably not what majority of people need.
Probably. It's
I'm
definitely
trying
not.
to say it
I know
kindly.
you're trying to be politically correct. I'm
Trying to
not going to be
be
politically
trying
correct
to
here.
be kind.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
like
do. They have
the
their place. They have
yes.
their place for
Yes.
certain health issues. They have their place 100%. I think it's widely overused and it's becoming a big, big issue where adults are eating 400 calories a day. And that is in no way going to be good for an adult.
Well, I mean, I
If a
can't scroll
toddler,
anywhere.
that's a third of a toddler intake, right?
Uh-huh.
Why would a 160-pound woman need to eat a third of what a toddler should eat, right? So it's like, what are the consequences of that? Like dysregulated cortisol for the rest of your life, pancreatic issues. There's a lot of connection with thyroid cancer. There's a lot of metabolic slowing because your metabolism has no fuel to do anything. So we're not going to just like spend this entire episode, but I'm very passionate about it. So I'm happy to not be politically correct about this. And I am
I love it.
demonizing it a little bit. I don't think I'm demonizing the product. I'm demonizing how it's being used and
Well,
how
here's
it's
the other
being
piece. There's
overused.
no education behind it. So
And
like
there's no
well, my
education and
husband and I
there's
were talking about, I'm
no,
like, so if they do this, great. Maybe they
yeah.
do lose some weight and but then what when they want to get off of it? And
Yeah.
they're like, well, shoot, I never actually healed my relationship with food. I never learned how to eat with intention.
Or I never healed my metabolism.
Exactly. So it's like,
Yeah.
are you then stuck on this stuff for the rest of your life? And I see it being pushed like crazy
Yeah.
to moms that want to lose weight,
Yeah.
and so it's like a band-aid to me.
It's like a band-aid with some very severe consequences that aren't that there's no true informed consent around it and
Yeah.
there's really no exit plan for it,
There's also
unfortunately.
no evidence to support that it's like all
Yeah. A
safe.
lot of it's also muscle loss, people, too, just so you guys know. It's
Totally.
like 70% muscle loss,
Yep.
which we know how important muscle is, if we just
Yep.
went on a tangent about that. So
Yep.
Yeah, let's just leave it there. But
Anyway,
just
I just
know
had to
that
put that in there
there's
because
a lot, yeah, there's a lot wrong with it. There's a lot of really long-term consequences that I don't think are being educated on. And I think that people might make a different decision, or they may not, but they should at least have that information before making the decision. Right. And I think that's what I'll demonize is how it's being used, not necessarily the product itself. And
agreed.
just, I assume everyone knows what we're talking about. It's GLP-1 or semaglutide.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
They're
even
like,
like
people are like, what are they talking
well,
about?
even not even just that. I'm even talking like all the mainstream like new peptide
Yeah.
drinks you can buy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm even talking like that
Yeah.
stuff that I'm
Yeah.
seeing like crazy too.
Yeah.
That I don't think people even truly understand what all that is.
Yeah.
So
No.
if you're seeing all these new drinks popping up, these little tubes of or packets, take this, it's lean, all these things. Do your research.
If there's like anything that promises anything in like 30 days or
Quick
60 days,
fix.
then just please don't.
Yeah.
They're like the long-term consequences are never worth it.
No. Okay, we'll stop on that because we could go forever.
Okay. We're gonna put that to rest. Okay, so just to wrap up. So top tips. Please start eating enough. Please stop skipping meals. If you want to learn about eating enough, I have that metabolism and hormones made simple masterclass. We'll put a link for it. Pair protein, fats, and carbs together. You can go walking after meals. You can just do some squats after meals. Focus on sleep. It's really basic, guys. Like, just focus on, like, what would you do for your kiddos? You'd make sure they sleep. You make sure they eat. You make sure they hydrate. You make sure that they chew their food. Apply that to ourselves. Just because we're adults, we're not special. I think I kind of want to leave it there because I think there's so
I think
much
that's good.
information on this call. I think that it could really, really change your life. Flag it, save it, re-listen to it, write our tips down. Go take advantage of my free resources as well. Like it literally could be very life-changing for you. I always joke around that balancing my blood sugar resolved 80% of my issues. Didn't get me 100%, but it got me way further than like any other protocol out there. And it was just working with my body and my physiology.
Yep. All right. Last thing we'll
Well,
leave you with. Thank you for joining us for episode 1 of season 2. We're very excited for what's coming. If you guys can do us a huge favor, it would truly mean the world to us. Go subscribe wherever you listen to our podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and you can see us if you want the video on YouTube, which is really, really cool. Share us with a friend, and please leave us a 5-star review if you love our episodes, because that pushes us further and we can help more women and spread the word. So appreciate you all, and we'll see you for episode 2.
All right. Thanks, guys.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you for hanging out with us on the Wild and Fierce podcast. If you loved this conversation, we'd be so grateful if you left a review and shared it with a friend who needs to hear this.
And if you really loved it, take a screenshot, share it on your stories, and tag us. We'd love to see it. Until next time, stay wild, stay fierce, and keep owning your journey.